We're gonna give you 20 plus emails that are gonna do everything from turning objections into meetings. So when a prospect responds not interested, how do we turn that into a meeting? And first emails that you can send for everything from inviting folks to conferences, to webinars, to re-engaging closed lost deals. Let's get to the emails.
The first couple templates are going to be reply templates. So there is literal gold sitting in your inbox every single time your prospect replies to an email, because that means they saw it and they recognized it in the first place. So don't just delete the not interested replies, do these things instead.
So let's talk first about what to do when someone replies not interested. So your natural instinct at this point is gonna be to write the best possible email response that you could. I don't want you to do that. I want you to immediately pick up the phone. You're gonna call the prospect. Their number is likely sitting right in their email signature, and you're gonna say something along the lines of, hey Katie, it's Jason. I sent you the email earlier about graduation rates at LA School District. I'd mentioned that we're doing a little bit of work with the folks down in Orange County related to this. I know you said that you're not interested, but do you have 30 seconds where I could maybe share the reason for my call and you could let me know if this is totally not relevant? Boom. So what we have at this point now is like we've engaged the prospect in a conversation. Is that gonna work every time? Not necessarily, but I like my chances a lot more on the phone than having to respond with an email.
And the reality is most of the time when you reply back to a not interested email over email, you will not get a reply back. But if you can call them in the moment that they were at their computer, you might give yourself the chance to get 30 more seconds with them. And that's when you can reveal the human behind the inbox with your tone.
So let's say that they don't pick up the phone when you call them. You're gonna reply with something super simple. What we're trying to get to is the reason behind the objection. So you're gonna reply with something like, hey Brian, thanks for letting me know. Is my timing terrible, or is this just a bad fit? And oftentimes prospects will answer you and tell you if timing is bad, which you can deal with timing, right? If it's a bad fit, they might say, yeah, because we're actually using your competitor XYZ. Now you actually have an objection that you can handle because not interested is not an objection.
You need to get a little bit more information here. And I know it's tempting to want to pitch when someone says, I'm not interested, to try to make them more interested. But the reality is you are just throwing things in the dark. And so you need to sort of lay down and be like, hey, I'm not gonna reach back out again, just so no one calls you again. Is it because it was a timing or a fit? And that will give you the real objection.
So the next response I want to talk to you about is actually when you get a positive response. The most frustrating thing that can happen is you get an email back saying, yeah, sure, let's meet. And then you hunt the prospect down for weeks or months and they never end up booking a meeting. Before starting a training business, we actually used to send out emails out on behalf of our clients. And you know what we tested? Hey, do people like using calendar links? Would they rather respond manually with times? Do they like being suggested times? And what we found through tens of thousands of data points is that people, they don't really have a singular preference. A lot of them like to use calendar links, some of them like to respond manually, and our email needs to give them options. So when we reply, we need to do something that looks a lot like this. Hey, looking forward to it, Rebecca. Do any of the times listed below work for you? The pro tip here is you need to put your executive assistant hat on and you need to convert the time zone into their time zone, okay? Especially if you're reaching out for people on the West Coast, let's say, versus East Coast, convert the time for them and then list it out like you see there on the screen. And then also let them know, hey, you're free to book some time on my calendar here. P.S. Don't hesitate to connect me with your EA or suggest days and times that work for you. We're gonna give them all three options.
When you're doing cold outbound, you have to realize that if you ask your prospect to do any mental work, there is a chance that you will lose the meeting, even if they agree to it. So if you think the most amount of work is if you ask someone, hey, when are you free to meet? Because now they got to go pull up their calendar, look at the times, and they're like, do I really want the sales meeting? So that's the most friction. Then from there, giving your calendar is sort of the second most friction, right? Because they still have to go and search through all the times, even though they know when you're available. Then you have suggesting times, which is what we're doing here. But the easiest one, a hidden trick, is I actually like to send this email and send a placeholder calendar invite. And I'll just be like, hey, I sent you a hold for the first time, just in case that one works. And now all they need to do is literally just click accept on that invite or pick one of the other times in the email.
And I actually got this trick from you. This works anytime someone needs to reschedule too. Just move the calendar invite. They're so much more likely to keep that meeting if there's something on the calendar and you're not scheduling something new from scratch. So the third type of response that I want to go over is another common one. Someone might say, hey dude, we're using XYZ competitor. Your natural instinct in this moment is to probably pitch why your thing is better and maybe feature dump a bit. You don't want to do that. What you want to use here, the strategy, is what I call the pros and cons method. It's very similar to how you might handle this objection over the phone. You need to know your competitive battle card and what people like about your competitor and what they do not like. So the example I want to give here is for a client of ours that sells an automated welding solution. Okay, so this helps manufacturing plants automate traditionally really hard to automate large trailer parts and all kinds of stuff like that. So what we're going to respond with is, hey, sounds like you and your team have put a lot of thought into this already. Usually ops leaders like how customizable that solution is, but it's tricky because now they're relying on full-time developers to keep it up and running. Open to seeing how you could automate more of those complicated welds.
So what Jason's doing in this response is he's poking a hole in the competitor and saying this is why someone else in the exact same situation switched. And then he's doing what we call selling the test drive, which is just saying like, hey, are you open to seeing why that person switched? Or are you open to seeing what this person saw as the flaw in that solution as well?
So let's get to our next set of email templates that are going to help us land that first meeting. The first one is conference invites. I don't know about you, man, but one of the things I always found frustrating was getting a landing page style email from marketing to invite people to conferences. So we're actually going to do the exact opposite. The funny thing here is we're literally going to send a 1-sentence email with a PS. That's going to sound something like this: HR Transform. So that would be the name of the event in the subject line. Hey, Mark, are you heading to HR Transform next month? ? Ideally, we're sending this to a list of people that we already know are on the attendee list. PS, wanted to invite you to chat with a few other total rewards leaders from DoorDash and Uber regarding the compensation transparency law changes. Nice and simple.
So the money here is you let the ask about the event stand alone. Are you going to be at this event? And then the PS cannot be, I wanted to see if you wanted to look at what our compensation software does, or I wanted to see if you wanted to talk about how we could streamline your merit cycle processes. You want to take an industry trend or a shared problem in the industry and say like, hey, I'm getting together with a couple other people that look just like you to talk about this thing that you care about. Are you open to putting a face to the name? And then from there, you can master the conference transition where you build rapport, you talk about the industry, and then you book a meeting later on after the conference to actually sell your stuff.
Our next email we're going to look at is a past employee of a current client. So let's say that you've had a champion that used your solution at their old employer. They just moved to a new account. It's on your account list and you want them to also use your solution. The key with this email is you want to add some context into why you're reaching out. You want to have a little bit of empathy around how you might think they're pretty swamped in the role right now, and then you want to ask for the meeting. So that's going to look and sound something like this. The subject line might be something like LAUSD in Seattle. Hey, congrats on the move from LAUSD over to Seattle, Dave. We had a great time working with you and the team to increase graduation rates. You can see it's very focused on the outcome around graduation rates. I imagine you're super swamped in the new role. Wondering if you might be open to a conversation about how we can drive similar outcomes in Seattle. Open to catching up.
Imagine someone just got a new job and you're like, hey, you want to buy my thing again? You'd be like, what the hell? Like, did you not even give me a congratulations? Are you not going to like acknowledge the fact that I'm doing a million different things when I start my job? So there's a congrats up front. There's a, I notice you're probably pretty swamped in this role mixed in the thing. And then it's a light CTA where it's like, are you open to catching up? It's not a hard pitch.
The last email we want to show you is a very common scenario. It's re-engaging closed lost deals. This is like the gold mine that is sitting inside of every CRM is who looked into us in the past and who might be good to re-engage because there's awareness there, they've gone through part of a sales cycle with us, etc. So the important thing with this email is as much of the goodies that you got from doing discovery or the previous rep around, hey, what was the project? What was the problem? The more we can quantify this stuff, the better. So an email like this might look like this. Subject line, 12% cost-cutting initiative. I'm going to put the name of the priority and the reason why they were meeting with us right in the subject line. Hey, Scott, our teams previously connected last year about cutting contact center costs by 12%. The team was getting swamped with 60K plus email tickets every quarter at an estimated 1.3 million in costs. And this is where we want to give the reason why things didn't move forward. But the timing wasn't great with IT and conflicting projects. We just helped ABC Company reduce incoming tickets by about 25%. Is this still a priority in 2025 or did you find a solve for this? So those are some quick hitting templates. You know what's pretty cool? We actually have 20 plus more of these templates that you can click on below and download. So go make sure to check them out. You can put these immediately into action to start landing more meetings today. Make sure to check out the next module. This is going to be the final recap of everything that you learned. We're going to give you all the cheat sheets in one place, and it's going to be what you can do to take immediate action to start landing more meetings.